Here are the top 5 ways you give your data to hackers. Number 1, spoofing. What is spoofing? Well, spoofing is when someone in your organization appears to send you an email, usually from a superior, with urgency and some sort of request, when in fact it's really not from that person. For example, you work for Tesla and your email is john@tesla.com. You get an email from Elon Musk saying, hey John, I have meetings for the next 3 hours. We have this project going and we need to wire $25,000 to this person, Herb Meyer, and I'll be back to you in 3 hours. Please get it done before then, and then we'll talk about it. And so you're thinking, wow, Elon's asking me to do this task. I really got to impress him. I got to get it done. So without even thinking about, wait, is this real, or double checking the email or certain things, you just get it done. This happens a lot. And if you actually looked at the email address, the email that it came from was Elon Musk Tesla 456xy@gmail.com. This happens a lot because anybody can create that email. There's no actual hacking happening. It's social engineering, right? Someone created this email randomly, said their first name is Elon, their last name is Musk. There's no restrictions on Google or Yahoo or AOL Mail to do that. So if you're just looking at the name of the person that sent it to you, you're going to think, wow, Elon Musk sent me this and I better do it. And a lot of people get scammed that way. It's a lot of social engineering. So how do you fix this? So the first thing is that if there's ever an unusual request, there's urgency, there's something out of the ordinary, always double check the email address. It's going to be very telling to see, is it coming from an @tesla.com email in this example, or is it coming from Gmail or AOL or Yahoo? And most likely Elon's not going to send you an email from Gmail or AOL or Yahoo, right? So that's usually the best way to take a look and see if there's a problem with the email address. The second thing you can do is you should always scrutinize anything that's very urgent or out of the ordinary. If it's strange, even if Elon really requested that, he'd appreciate you calling him and say, hey Elon, I got this email. I can get it done right now. Just wanted to double check. I know you're in meetings, but I don't want to screw this up. Or call another superior and say, hey, I got this email. It's a little strange. You can email your IT, contact your IT, but it's always better to double check than just take an action because you're frantic and you want to impress and it's super out of the ordinary and you just do it, right? So those are some easy and quick ways and tips on how to not get caught in those social engineering traps. Number 2, fake login pages. Kind of self-explanatory, but we'll go into some details and some examples. You may get a link in an email, a Teams, a Slack, where you open up the page and it's asking you to either verify your email, verify your credentials, verify a purchase, and you may dive in there and just without thinking about it, type in your credentials. And then they say at the end of when you click submit, oh, everything's verified, nothing to worry about, and you don't think about it. But what you've done is you just given somebody your email credentials or your Amazon credentials, whatever the case may be. So how does this happen? Well, a lot of times when you get these links and you open up the web page, if you notice in the web URL, instead of it saying, Microsoft.com or Microsoftonline.com or Amazon.com, it'll say something like Microsoft XYZWX145.com. So what happened there? Anybody can go on GoDaddy.com and make a domain that starts with Microsoft or Google or Amazon and add a bunch of characters after that, .com. And you can buy that domain, set it up to make it look exactly like Microsoft, exactly like Amazon, and you send these phishing links out and people are unsuspecting and you click on it because you might want to verify something. It's Microsoft. Oh, whatever, it looks like Microsoft. I'll put my credentials in. But you don't know that you just literally gave them your credentials. It's another social engineering trick. So how do you figure this out? How do you scrutinize this? Well, first and foremost, you should almost never access Amazon, Microsoft, almost anything. Banking, you should never access it from a link, from a suspicious email, or even just a weird email. You should always, in your web browser, type Microsoft.com. You should type Amazon.com. That'll get you to a place where you know it's verified. But let's say a page pops up and you're like, oh, this is strange. I don't know why I'm entering my credentials. You'll see that the website will say something like Microsoft XYZ123 ABC.com. These are very, very important things to look for because it's a telltale sign. Happens a lot with Amazon, happens a lot with Google, happens a lot with banking. And so it's a very, very easy way to just double check. You should always scrutinize. Number 3, lookalike domains. Now this is somewhat similar to fake login pages, but very, very different in the sense of how it looks. For example, you go to wellsfargo.com. Very simple, looks like Wells Fargo, you input your credentials, everything's fine. Now, what if you opened up a web page or a link and it was Wells Fargo and instead of the G at the end, it's a Q, wellsfargo.com. If you write it out, as you can see in the example, they look so close that if you just glance at it, you're not going to get it, right? So you have to be very, very careful when you're reading the web URL because same for Google, right? Instead of google.com, it could be googel.com. It's a different domain, right? And the list goes on. It can be done in your organization. You swap an I for an L. You swap an O for a 0. So you have to be very diligent in looking at how these things can be changed to trick you. Because at a quick glance, Wells Fargo, Wells Fargo, looks like the same thing. So the solution is sometimes you got to look at every single character to make there's no swaps. And some of the easy ones are O to 0, I to L, and vice versa. Adding a character, just a number 1 at the end. So these are some common ways that these types of domains are created to trick you. And the best way to scrutinize is just look at it very closely. Number 4, text message scams. This is becoming a very, very big problem across the country and actually across the world. What's happening is you're getting text message verifications from Amazon, banks, your organization, your CEOs, and they're saying, hey, take a look at this activity and verify it. Or could you do me this favor and wire this $2,000 to XYZ company? It's very, very tricky because we do get verifications from Amazon, from our banks, but there are a few ways to suss this out. So let's go through an example. I got a text message the other day saying, hey, this is Amazon, and we saw a $5,000 purchase for a MacBook. Please verify if this was you. I didn't order a MacBook, and my first thought was, okay, I need to check my Amazon account. What's going on? Is my Amazon account hacked? Then I looked at the URL. The URL was helpdesk-amazon.com. So just like some of our earlier examples, the only Amazon I know is amazon.com, and then after that, I don't care what it says. But if there's amazon1.com, helpdesk-amazon.com, all these variations on the word Amazon are 99% a scam. And this happens all the time. So whenever you get anything by text message, whether it's Amazon, whether it's banking, and even if it's your CEO saying, hey, this is Elon Musk, I need you to do this one thing, send a wire, always scrutinize, always verify, always double check, right? The other telltale sign is that most large companies don't send verifications from regular phone numbers, 9-digit or 10-digit phone numbers, right? Usually it's a 5-digit phone number. You'll notice if you look, if you ever get you log into your bank and they say, hey, we texted you a verification code, the number that it's coming from is 5 digits. And there's a reason for that. Those 5-digit numbers, you have to register, you have to be a very large company, you have to pay a lot of money to have access to these 5-digit numbers. So there's a lot of verification, there's a lot of scrutiny on the companies that are using them. So it's a lot harder for those to be scams. But if it's coming from a local telephone number, an 800 number, I would really, really second guess those things because that could be anyone from a cell phone, from a VoIP texting service trying to scam you using these fake links and all that type of stuff. But when in doubt, always double check. Number 5, and sometimes the hardest to figure out, is vendor or client hacks. And this could also be one of your friends. So you don't control the email security of one of your vendors or your client or one of your friends, right? If they get hacked and the hackers use their email to spit out links, random phishing scams out to everyone in their address book, it's harder to figure out because you get constant emails from these people and your spam filter lets it through because you've sent 20 emails this month to that person. And they send you an email saying, hey, John, I need you to look at this PO because I'm not sure if this is correct. And you say, okay, I'll take a look at it. You click the link and that link takes you to a phishing page where they could be using a lookalike domain. They could be using a ton of different tactics to try to steal information from you for your logins, your personally identifiable information. And sometimes these links can deploy a Trojan or a virus. So links are one of the biggest scam tactics out there, and using a hacked vendor or a client to spray this tree of phishing emails out is very, very potent for the hacker. So you have to always scrutinize links. You always have to make sure that even when your friends, your vendors, your clients are giving you requests out of the ordinary, even if they're, close to in line with what business you're doing with them, just double check. Always double check, because these hackers are getting smart. They're sitting inside the inbox of the vendor or client, and they're learning some of the habits and the relationships that they have with different people like you, and they'll use that against you. So just the number one thing is just always question things that are even slightly out of the ordinary. You can see how these 5 tools that hackers have can be used individually or put together to create a very powerful social engineering scheme and hacking scheme. So be very diligent out there. And if you have any questions or concerns about these tactics, cybersecurity in general, IT in general, please reach out to us. Links in the description, and have a great day.